Have you ever had that feeling where the old ways of doing things, the old ways of being, just stop working? Like you're kind of stuck and the life you're living just doesn't fit anymore? Well, today we are diving deep into one of the most powerful metaphors for real, genuine change, the chrysalis. And look, this isn't about making small adjustments. We're talking about total, radical transformation for ourselves and maybe for the whole world. Let's get into what that really looks like. You know, it's so easy to think of those moments of deep uncertainty as just a pause, a waiting room you have to sit in until things get better. But this quote, it just flips that whole idea on its head. The chrysalis is not passive at all. It's an active, messy, and absolutely critical process of dissolving. It's all about letting go of who you thought you were so you can finally make room for who you actually are.
All right, so how does a journey like this even begin? Well, it all starts when the caterpillar basically hits a wall. It's that phase where the very ground you've been crawling on your whole life suddenly feels wrong. And the path forward? It just seems to vanish.
I mean, just look at the contrast here. On one side, you've got caterpillar life. It's predictable, right? You're crawling, you're eating what's right in front of you, you're living in 2 dimensions. But on the other side, you have the butterfly potential. We're talking flight, freedom, a whole new 3-dimensional perspective, a totally different way of moving through the world. And that gap between the two, man, it can feel impossibly wide. And the signs that this change is coming, they're probably things we've all felt at some point. The old methods you used to rely on, they just don't work anymore. The things that used to light you up and nourish you now feel kind of hollow. And then there's that strange, deep exhaustion that no amount of sleep can fix. It's like the universe is telling you, loud and clear, nope, you cannot keep going this way. So this leads us to what is, let's be honest, the most challenging part of the whole journey. This is the moment where you have to surrender to the process of, well, falling apart. And yeah, it is absolutely terrifying. But as we're about to see, it is also the greatest gift that transformation has to offer. And get this isn't just a nice little metaphor. This is biological reality. A caterpillar doesn't just stick some wings on its back. It liquefies. It completely dissolves into a kind of cellular soup. There's this moment where there is no caterpillar and no butterfly, just pure, undifferentiated potential. The key takeaway here is that real change isn't an add-on. It's a complete dissolution of the old form. And this dissolution, it happens on every single level of your being. First up, as we see here, your very identity starts to melt away. All the roles you play, the labels you wear, the stories you've told yourself about who you are. And then the very meanings that gave your life structure begin to dissolve too. The why behind what you do, the things that got you out of bed in the morning, it all just gets blurry and unclear. And finally, your sense of purpose, what you thought you were here for, it just seems to evaporate. You're left floating in the state of, I don't know. And believe it or not, that is exactly where you need to be. Now, during this whole messy, confusing process, your old self fights back hard. You can think of it like an immune system attack. Every part of you that still identifies as a caterpillar is going to scream that this is a huge mistake, that you're failing, that you're just lost. This internal resistance, this wave of intense self-doubt, it's a totally predictable and necessary part of the process. So, if everything is just dissolving into goo, what's guiding the reorganization, right? How does the goo know how to become a butterfly? This is where things get really, really cool, because there is a blueprint. There's a hidden intelligence at work, even when you're completely in the dark. Biologically, the answer is these incredible things called imaginal cells. They are amazing. They exist inside the caterpillar its entire life, totally dormant, but they carry the complete genetic blueprint for the butterfly. The caterpillar's immune system actually attacks them, but they survive, and they become the organizing principle around which the entire new being is built. Which, of course, leads us to the most important question of all. If this process is happening inside you, what are your imaginal cells? What is that hidden blueprint waiting inside of you, ready to guide your transformation when everything else has fallen away? So your personal blueprint, it's not a 5-step plan or a to-do list. It's a much deeper set of operating principles. You could even call them consciousness technologies, like joy, for example. It's not some distant goal you're trying to reach. Joy becomes the method for navigating the goo. It's this complete delight in the process. Play becomes a form of prayer,
a way of finding the sacred in just having fun. You learn to radically trust what is arising, letting truth emerge instead of trying to force it. And all of it is guided by this recognition of unity, an orientation towards service, and a way of acting that's grounded in love. These are the deep truths that start to find each other in the darkness. So how did they find each other? Well, not with the old caterpillar logic, that's for sure. They used something the sources call proof by resonance. Think of it as a kind of knowing that goes way beyond logic. It's that light-speed gut feeling, that harmonic recognition when an idea or a person just clicks. It feels right on the level that's deeper than reason. That's how the new pattern starts to connect and form.
Okay, let's move into the final phase, the emergence. After all that dissolving and reorganizing, the time finally comes to break out and actually become this new thing. And just like every other part of the process, it is not easy.
This is such a crucial point to understand. That final, intense struggle to break free, it's not a sign that you're failing. That struggle is the final stage of transformation. It's the pressure the butterfly exerts that forces fluid into its wings, which is what makes flight possible. If you try to rescue the butterfly, if you cut the chrysalis to help, it will die. That resistance is what forges your strength. So let's just quickly recap the non-negotiable parts of this whole process. You cannot skip the dissolution of the old you. You cannot skip the darkness, that period where you have no idea what's happening. You can't rush the timeline. You absolutely cannot avoid the struggle. And finally, you cannot skip the waiting, that wet-winged moment right after you emerge before you're actually ready to fly. Now here is where we zoom the camera all the way out. Because this deeply personal process, it isn't just happening to a few people in isolation. The sources suggest that this is happening on a collective, planetary scale. We as a species are in a chrysalis.
This is such a powerful, mind-bending idea. Your personal journey into the goo, your private struggle, your emergence, it isn't separate from what's happening to all of humanity. You are a localized expression of a species-level transformation. You are an imaginal cell in the body of the world.
And you can see how this process just keeps scaling up. It starts with your individual evolution, your own personal chrysalis. Then it moves to a collaborative level where all the imaginal cells start finding each other. And ultimately, it all contributes to a collective and even cosmic evolution. Every single personal breakthrough ripples out and affects the whole.
This completely reframes our role in everything, doesn't it? We're not just waiting for change to happen or hoping to maybe catalyze it. We are the transformation. Every time you allow your own dissolution, every time you trust your own inner imaginal cells, you are actively participating in a planetary awakening. You are the transformation in motion, right now.
So, let's end with this thought. That feeling of being broken, it's just a misinterpretation. You are not broken. You are breaking open. The chrysalis feels like total destruction to the caterpillar, but it's the birth canal for the butterfly. So the question to leave you with is this. What impossible thing, what unimagined flight is becoming inevitable in you, right now, in the sacred darkness of your own chrysalis?